and we see young women being looked at as a market for eggs.
If you're tall, attractive, physically fit, and have a desire to help, and what person doesn't want to see themselves that way?
The infertility industry in the United States has grown to a multi-billion-dollar business. What is its main commodity? Human eggs. Young women all over the world are solicited by ads via college campus bulletin boards, social media, online classifieds offering up to hundreds of thousands of dollars for their donated eggs to help make someone's dream come true. Who is this egg donor? Is she treated justly? What are the short and long-term risks to her health? Let's talk to Jennifer Lahl, producer of Eggsploitation, which spotlights the booming business of human eggs told through the tragic and revealing stories of real women who became involved and whose lives have changed forever. Jennifer, welcome to WomenNow.
Great, thank you for having me.
What triggered you to make this movie?
Well, I've been writing and speaking in this area for about a decade now, and over the course of my travels and all the different speaking engagements, I've met so many young women who were egg donors in their past, and their stories didn't go quite well. In fact, some of the mothers who I've met, their daughters have actually died, and several of the women who we featured in the film went on to have tragic health outcome. Not able to have their own children, went on to develop cancers and whatnot. And I really felt that their story needed to be told, their story needed to be heard, and they were the best ones to tell it. So we decided to make a documentary film featuring the booming egg donation business.
You have to be attractive woman of all ethnicity between the age of 21 and 29. So that's also pretty screwed up, I think.
On top of that, they look for someone with a very good education. They did an IQ test on me.
Look at this, it's an elite donor. So that means obviously you have to go through a process. They don't want just any egg.
And so I did the math and I figured out that I needed about $3,000. And if I had that $3,000, everything would be fine.
I just very much had the altruistic piece of me triggered.
Everything that happened to me was a chain of events where certain medical risks were not taken into account.
And when he saw my distended abdomen, his face went white.
They really emphasized the fact that backing out was not acceptable. They portrayed it as us betraying them. We were no longer in control at that point.
So I think the whole time I felt like they were trying to get rid of me.
And he looked me in the eye and he said, "Oh, Alexandra, we will try to save your ovary, but you may lose your ovary."
I did make poor decisions as a result of the financial compensation.
And I made a decision to sell my eggs. That affected my ability to reproduce.
I mean, I can't have my own children now.
My story isn't documented in any statistics anywhere.
They become forgotten. They're a faceless person that comes in and donates their eggs, and then they're gone.
Well, that's really sad, and I'm told that India is becoming a target country as well.
Yes.
So are we doing enough to educate the people who are donors?
Yeah, I don't think so. My background is in nursing. I'm a mother, I'm a woman, I have daughters that attend college, university, and I see the ads, and I think unfortunately the ads are very glamorous. They say this is a wonderful thing to do to help somebody, which in fact that is part of this story. It is a wonderful thing to do to help somebody. Mm-hmm. However, the young women aren't being told the full story.
So what are some of the risks in donating eggs?
Well, and again, the story is, I think, wonderful to see from these women themselves, but the short-term risks are a very real syndrome called ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, which can cause stroke, which can cause organ failure, which can cause problems with the young donor's own reproductive health, so that she's not able to have children on her own down the road. Longer-term risk we've seen now are reproductive cancers, uterine, cervical, breast cancers. This whole industry of fertility medicine is relatively new. It's only been around for about 3 decades. So we're only now starting to see some of the negative longer-term risks. And those are predominantly
what is the
cancers.
percentage? I mean, I'm curious because I never thought there's any risk involved in donating egg. I thought it was only for a good purpose. You're making someone else's life fulfilled. And, you know, I'm not aware of what percentage of donors actually go through these symptoms.
Well, and that's the tagline of the film is the dirty little secret. And one of the dirty little secrets is we don't track and monitor and follow up on any egg donors. There has never been done any around the world studies on what happens long-term to egg donors. In fact, because they're not patients, because they're not sick, we don't even keep medical records on egg donors. So it's hard to say how many women have gone on to not be able to have children of their own or have developed cancers down the road because we don't track. If you are an organ donor and you donate your kidney, you will forever live in a database that will monitor you long term to find out how you do 5, 10, 20 years later after you donate a kidney. That's not the case with egg donors because they're healthy.
So we don't have really numbers as to what percentage?
None whatsoever.
But there's a growing population all over the world, I believe, who are being targeted to donate eggs. And tell us a little bit about what people look for when they're looking for a donor.
Well, it's in the United States, it's one particular thing, and it's high SAT scores and pretty. They want, you know, and they will say, we're looking for a particular egg donor. One of the women in our film actually had to take an IQ test because the people were, I'm serious, she had to take an IQ test.
Is this like a norm in the industry or that was an exception?
There was a recent article that just came out in a very mainline publication in the United States that said SAT scores will fetch you a higher pay. So if you are smart, you can actually get paid higher than if you have, you know, lesser intelligence. You know, they're looking for a particular kind of girl that looks a particular way.
Yeah, strong physical genetics to go with it as well.
One of the women in the film was a Stanford student, and she answered an ad offering $50,000 to donate her eggs. And why Stanford? Well, because Stanford has bright young women.
No, but tell me this, is it mandatory for a donor to go through all these risks associated with it? Is it mandatory for me to go through this entire education about the risks?
I think you should, because you are going to be taking very powerful drugs.
But they don't, right? And that's why they end up in the situation.
They don't. They don't. And it's sad because they can't even be informed of the risk because we've never studied it. So how can we say we've studied this, we've looked at this for 20 years?
So that could be one reason, because they're not educated, they don't know. So what if it was made more like a compulsory thing? Before you donate an egg, you have to go through this, you know, few pages of lecture and then understand the process before you donate. Is that something that you're looking to do?
It would be good if we could lecture them and give them the long-term studies and the data, which we don't have. It's kind of a chicken and egg. You know, how can we tell them what the risks are when we haven't studied it? All we're seeing now is that we have egg donors who have developed cancer at a very young age, who have died, who have suffered stroke, who have gone on to not have their own fertility abilities. So it would be more meaningful if we'd done some studies and actually followed up with them so that we could then go to prospective egg donors and say, here's what we know the risk to be. And
now,
that's not
what are we doing now, and how can our viewers help you to really take the message out and, you know, educate the audience?
Yeah, well, the reason we made the film was to educate the young women who are considering doing this, so they will get the full story, and they will hear from young women who have done this and said, oh, maybe I should think again. We even say in the film, are you thinking about donating your eggs? Think again, because they will not get this information on the websites of the fertility industry. So we're advocating, I'm showing this film in a few weeks at Harvard Law School and at Princeton.
But what
and at
about
Yale.
everywhere else in the world? I'm sure the egg donors are coming from all over the world. Is there some kind of a campaign that's going around in the world?
There is a campaign on the Eggsploitation.com website. We're asking people to join us, to sign us. We are lobbying right now for laws to be changed, for health warnings to be added on the egg donation ads, to make sure that right now we become concerned about them and follow them. We need to establish a registry. I'll be on Capitol Hill in a few weeks showing the film. We're trying to say we need to establish a medical registry so that if you do this, you will be forever monitored and tracked and followed up.
Well,
there's
that's
no one
some
advocating.
real good information, and WomenNow reveals the true face of the Indian American. We cannot do this without you, as this is a show all about you, the viewers. So write to us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and let us know what's important to you.